Honorable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, item 4, correction of votes and proceedings and official report. We will start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 13th July, 2021. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Yes, Second Deputy Speaker.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Mr. Speaker.
First Deputy Speaker, sorry.
The Speaker, I noticed that on page 4, sorry to take you back, item number 159, Members marked present. Chair Mensa Busu say Swami. We know that the Honorable Majority Leader is absent with permission. The Honorable Majority Leader is absent with permission, but is marked present. I think the record should be corrected. That was yesterday. When did it come out?
Yes, table office. Can you take note of that? We're at page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Honorable Ablakwa.
Mr. Speaker, I'll need your guidance for item number G, the term loan agreement that was laid by the Minister for Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs. It indicates that the tenure of the members of the 8th Parliament is from 2021 to 2024, item number GI. But it should be 2021 to 2025. Our tenure expires midnight, January 6, 2025, and not 2024. I don't know if probably the error is from the term loan agreement or the paper that was laid, and that is why it has been captured this way. But the 8th Parliament is our tenure is 2021 to 2025. So if we can take note of that, Mr. Speaker.
Well, the table office will check from the document. If that is what is on the document, then it's properly captured. But if it's up to 2025, please kindly do the correction. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 18. Sorry, page 17. 18, okay.
Most grateful, right, Mr. Speaker. Right, Mr. Speaker. Item number 2, XIV. My distinguished sitting colleague, he appears to have been demoted. Should be Dr. Dominic Akrutinga Ayini. Item number 2.
Honorable Dominic.
Yes. Should be.
He's not a Mr.
Yes.
He's a doctor. Table office. Please, we are not qualified to reduce people's rank. Yes. The correction noted. Page 19. Page 20. Page 20, yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker, consistent with the correction for Dr. Ayeni, item number IV, the third item, it should be Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins.
Yes. It's not Miss. Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins. Table office, kindly take note. Page 21. Honorable Samson, is that BT Bahaba? Yes.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Defense and Interior, page 21, paragraph 2, Roman number 7. The spelling of Benson, N is not at the end of Benson. I think this is the second or third time. Maybe the table office will have to look at it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Table office, make this the last time. It's Benson. It's not Bensu. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Right, Honourable Speaker, item number 2 IV, Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, to be corrected.
That is also at page 21. Please, the same correction to be made. Yes, Honorable Dafia Mako.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, the same paragraph will be noted that the name of the honorable member for Ashama, N.S. Nogbe, appears twice. I believe that is a repetition. We have VII, Mr. N.S. Henry Nogbe, and then we have item number 12, also Mr. N.S. Henry Nogbe.
Yes, table office. You repeated the honorable member's name twice. Please, delete one. Page 23. Yes, Honorable Dafimako.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, paragraph 3, or item number 3, XII. The name is Mr. Lawrence Ajay Ajipon, not Miss. And Mr. Speaker, the next item as well, the name is Mr. Opon Yebo Akoju. Mr. Speaker, these are my classmates. I know them very well. They are certainly not Miss. They are Miss.
Table office, take note. They are gentlemen, not ladies. Page 23. Page, yes, 23.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. You may indulge me to take us to pages 12, 13, 14, 15, which all contain the nomenclature for the Ministry for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs as Ministry for Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs. The correct rendition is Ministry for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Thank you very much.
Yes, table office, kindly take note. Yes, Honorable Blackwell.
Mr. Speaker, page 22, item number 3, VII, Mr. Yao Ousu Achiao. Yao Ousu cannot be one word, so if it can be corrected accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, noted. Page 24. Honorable members, In the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the 27th sitting of the second meeting of the first session held on Tuesday, 13 July 2021 as corrected are adopted as the true record of proceedings. Now we go to the official report. I have a copy of the official report of Tuesday, 8th June 2021. Honorable members, any corrections? Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, please at column 016, the last paragraph, the name of the construction firm working on the Abutia Joapon Road, which is in my constituency. The company name is Bolton Properties Limited, and not Rotten Properties Limited, as has been captured here. It should be Bolton. So if the records could be corrected accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, table office, kindly take note. Yes, any further corrections? Yes, Honorable Kofi Adams.
Speaker, the cover page, item number 3, the third line. Rights required to complete the full scope of works. The works is not correctly spelled.
The spelling of the word works.
Yeah. Then
R is missing. Yes. Table office. Take note. Yes.
the second page of the cover page also. An inspection visit to monitor the construction of regional integrated composting, not composting. It should be composting. The word there should be composting. Composting and recycling plants.
Table office is not composing, but composite and recycling plants. Kindly take note. Any further corrections? Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the official report of Tuesday, 8th June 2021 is hereby adopted as the true record of proceedings. Honorable members, we now I have an indication from leadership. Yes, they want to move a motion. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as per the earlier indication, I only wanted to emphasize that we would need your leave to vary. The order of business, to take order paper addendum and proceed with item 1.
Order of business varied accordingly in accordance with Order 53, Rule 2. So we'll go on to the order paper addendum. Yes, Honorable Suhini.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise on Order 78A. Mr. Speaker, Order 78A reads, unless any order otherwise provides, notice shall be given of any motion which is proposed to make except the following: a motion relating to contempt of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I rise on this motion to pray you to exercise your powers under Orders 27, which also, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, reads, notwithstanding anything contained in these orders, Mr. Speaker may refer any questions of privilege to the Committee of Privileges for Examination, Investigation, and Report. Mr. Speaker, I therefore call on you to exercise your powers under 27 to refer Honorable Kennedy Ohini Ajekum, whose acts and conducts, Mr. Speaker, continue to affront the dignity of Parliament and bring it into disrepute, as captured under Order 32. Mr. Speaker, and with your permission, I refer to 32, which says that the following acts or conduct shall constitute a breach of privilege or contempt of Parliament. 2, any act or omission which affronts the dignity of Parliament or which tends either directly or indirectly to bring the name of Parliament into disrepute. Mr. Speaker, my basis is on the conduct of the said member on his own television network, which has caused another network, Joy FM, to refer him to the CID for investigation. Mr. Speaker, the letter from Multimedia to the CID quotes what he said on his show. Mr. Speaker, I also have a copy of the said program as attached to the petition sent to the CID. And this letter by Multimedia is dated July 13, 2021, where he is copiously referred to as the chairman of the Committee of Defense and Interior. And, Mr. Speaker, for those utterances to be attributed to the committee chairman of this House, Mr. Speaker, I think it calls for the attention of this House, for the chairman of the Committee of Defense and Interior to go public and urge that the President, the Commander-in-Chief, beats people, physically assaults people. He says, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, that if he were the President of Ghana, he would have ensured that the said journalist, Erastus Asaridonko, is beaten mercilessly. Mr. Speaker, he says that, in fact, Erastus Asaridonko should be beaten seriously. And, Mr. Speaker, this comes in the wake of another such utterances he made in relation to Ahmed Swale, which led, in the view of some people, to the identity of Ahmed Swale being compromised and eventually murdered. Mr. Speaker, I think that as a former journalist, I feel obliged, Mr. Speaker, to draw the House's attention to this conduct of an honorable colleague of this House, which in my view, brings this House into disrepute. And so, Mr. Speaker, I urge you to exercise your powers under 27 and refer this conduct of the honorable member, which is becoming unacceptable, to the Privileges Committee to ascertain the veracity of the comments that were made and recommend sanctions, if possible, that will act as deterrent for future, outings of the honorable member and other members who may be tempted to act like him. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable members, this motion, as rightly stated, comes under Order 78A, and I did add, it being an interruption, is also covered under Order 91B. Was interruptions are matters of point of order. And so to interrupt the work flow of the House, you need to refer to that order too. And that order deals with matter of privilege suddenly arising. Well, as to whether it suddenly arose is an issue. But the House's attention is drawn to the conduct of one of our members. And under Order 27, which I want to quote in extenso, it says, notwithstanding anything contained in these orders, Mr. Speaker may refer any questions of privilege to the Committee of Privileges for examination, investigation, and report. Notwithstanding anything contained in these orders. In spite of the word notwithstanding, the Speaker is giving the discretion, says may refer any questions of privilege. I think that is why the honorable member is seeking my intervention to refer the matter to the Privileges Committee. This is my first time of hearing this matter. As it is now, I am compelled to refer it to the Privileges Committee. It's a matter the Privileges Committee will have to go into and then report to the House. And it's for the House to decide whether the honorable member is contemptuous of the House. Honorable members, I can easily identify members who interrupt from your speeches and your voices. And I don't want to name any member because the consequences are grave. In the circumstances, I direct that this matter be referred to the Committee on Privileges for investigation and report to the House. I so direct. We now go back to the order paper addendum. Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the practice is that when you are addressing us, we must patiently be seated to hear you. Mr. Speaker, without attempting to go into your ruling by way of praying for a rescission, may I draw Mr. Speaker's attention to the fact that the practice of this House and the rules are clear, that a prima facie case needs to be established, a prima facie case in this instance, being that the applicant who is mounting a contempt application must procure and make available the substance of what he is alleging to amount. Would you, with respect, we were quiet and listened. With respect, we were quiet and we listened to him in extenso. With respect, Mr. Speaker, the member in mounting his contempt application which application you have heard and rightly wrote, only referred to a supposed letter from Joy FM to a CIA and all that. Mr. Speaker, I am not questioning. But Mr. Speaker, all I am saying is that if care is not taken, Mr. Speaker, we may end up sacrificing the rule of procedure, which, Mr. Speaker, will amount to we creating a new path that if we are supposed to go back to it, it will be a problem. Mr. Speaker, having expressed these concerns, I am not going to attempt to ask for a rescission with respect to your decision, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as leaders in the House, I think we must assist the chair in maintaining order in the House. And the Deputy Majority Leader, who is asking for procedure and rules of the game, is aware that per Order 98, ruling of the chair is not subject to debate. Mr. Speaker, you have ruled and you've directed the motion that has been brought to the House's attention to the Privileges Committee. Under which rule and by what authority is the Deputy Majority Leader making comment after the chair has ruled? If you want to go by that tangent, Mr. Speaker, there can be no order in this House. And once the chair has ruled, I think we must allow the referral to the Privileges Committee to go and consider and bring their report to the House, after which both sides will have the opportunity to contribute on the motion on the floor. Other than that, he has no opportunity to make any rendition, unless he wants to come by a substantive motion.
Well, I think the committee will go into this matter and report to the House. I want to emphasize that it's the House that will take the decision. It's not the Speaker, and it's not any other person apart from the House. That will be your collective wisdom that will come to the conclusion whether what is alleged is just a mere allegation or is supported by facts, and whether those facts really do constitute contempt of the House and abuse of a privilege of members. It's important for me to emphasize here that the privilege and immunity of free speech applies in full force in plenary sessions and committee sessions, not when members are outside debating issues or on radio or TV. You don't have that right, that privilege, that immunity to just say anything because you are a member of parliament. Not at all. We are not above the law. It's for good reason, because you represent a large number of people. You should be given the full immunity to be able to say what the people say they want you to say. That is why you say it here, and you are covered. That immunity doesn't extend to you in the market square or anywhere. Just say anything because you think you are a member of parliament. It doesn't apply at all. So please, the committee should go into the matter, submit the report, and I want to urge the House to do this as a House. was something that affects the whole House, including all members. And I, as Speaker, the representative of the House, when it deals with the image, the majesty, the reputation of the House, I have an interest. So please, I'm happy that the committee is chaired by no less a person than the first Deputy Speaker. And I have confidence in him. And I know he will do the right thing. So with this, we end the matter here and we move on to the order paper addendum, and we go to at the commencement of public business, presentation of papers. The following papers to be presented. Item 1, Roman 1, by the chairman of the committee.
Report of the Finance Committee on the term loan agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, acting through the Ministry of Finance, and the National Investment Bank Limited for an amount of $28 million to finance the purchase of vehicles for members of the 8th Parliament of Ghana, 2021 to 2024.
Honourable members, the report has been presented accordingly and is for distribution to the members of Parliament. Item 1, Roman 2, by the chairman of the committee.
Report of the Finance Committee on the term loan agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, acting through the Ministry of Finance, and the National Investment Bank Limited for an amount of $3,500,000 to finance the purchase of vehicles for members of the 8th Council of State, 2021 to 2024.
Honourable members, the report is presented accordingly and is for distribution to members of the House. Item 1, Roman 3, by the chairman of the committee.
Report of the Finance Committee on the request for waiver of import duty, import get fund levy, import NHIL, import VAT, EXIM levy, COVID-19 recovery levy, special import levy, ECOWAS levy, AU levy, inspection fees, and withholding tax, IRS tax deposit, amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of $13,387,500 on vehicles to procure for members of the 8th Parliament of Ghana, 2021 to 2024, and the members of the 8th Council of State, 2021 to 2024.
Honourable members, the report is presented accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. I think, leadership, we can now go back to the original order paper.
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable members, we go back to the original order paper and we start with item 5, question. I hope we have the Minister for Education in the House. We'll start with question number 59 who stands in the name of the Honorable Member for Amenfi West, Honorable Eric Afo. Honorable Member, you may now ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education what plans the ministry has to reduce the gap of pupil-teacher ratio among urban and rural basic schools in Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the pupil-teacher ratio in our schools, most especially at the basic level, is improving based on information available to us from EMIS, that is Education Management Information System. However, the gap between the urban and rural areas can be mainly attributed to teacher deployment and provision of school infrastructure. The difference in opportunities between urban and rural communities has always existed, affecting teacher deployment in rural areas. In relation to these challenges, the Ministry and Ghana Education Service has introduced interventions to bridge the disparity in teacher deployment. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education, through the Ghana Education Service, has come up with measures to address issues surrounding teacher deployment, especially in rural areas. The Ministry of Education has embarked on a number of strategies or activities. The first is the introduction of deprived area allowance scheme. The Ghana Education Service is working out a plan where areas that have this problem in terms of the gap is going to be provided opportunity of an incentive so that we will be able to get more teachers to go to those areas so that we can limit the number of students per teacher. We're also looking at accommodation for teachers in deprived communities, all aimed at attracting teachers who will take up assignments in those areas that have lower number of teachers. In addition, teachers who serve in deprived communities, where you are more likely to have a higher pupil-teacher ratio, get the opportunity to do study leave or go on study leave after 3 years of teaching instead of 4. Mr. Speaker, continuous professional development for teachers in deprived areas also enable them to renew their license and get promoted at a faster pace than those who are in urban areas where this phenomenon is not present. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member, any supplementary questions?
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you go to
Please, Honorable Members, too much movement on my left side. Too much movement on my left side. Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, going through the answer by the Minister, the last sentence, if I may quote it, the gap between the urban and the rural areas can be mainly attributed to teacher deployment and provision of school infrastructure. The Speaker, I'm more interested in the teacher deployment. I want to ask the Minister, why is it that the transfer, let me be specific, the posting of teacher trainees, the policy which is associated with it, has been changed by the ministry? So, Speaker, I'm asking this because before 2017,
newly trained teachers were posted from the headquarters of GES to the regional directorates, to the district directorates, for them to know the areas that need teachers. But this time, they are posted directly from the GES headquarters right to the school, which means that they may not know what is happening at the various schools. So I'm asking why that change in policy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the change in policy is calculated at addressing a major challenge. And Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleague did not say that the pupil-teacher ratio years back was so good, and as a result of the change in policy, things have worsened. No, rather it has improved. Because the reason is this: when you post teachers to the region, for the region to post them to the district, you have a major challenge on your hands. On the other hand, if you ask the regions to declare their vacancies, districts to declare their vacancies, and then you put it in a system, and by knowing the vacancy, you post the teacher directly to the place that there's a vacancy, you rather solve the problem than just sending 1,000 teachers to a region and asking them to post. We've had these challenges before. So on the other hand, when you know the vacancies and you post them there, you solve a greater problem than the other way around. Right, Honorable Speaker?
Yes, Honorable Member, any further supplementary?
Mr. Speaker, I have other two questions to ask, if you permit me. Mr. Speaker, from the answer given by the Minister now, you know what is happening in this country. For somebody to sit in Accra and post teachers directly to the basic schools, I think this is a major problem you have in this country. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the Minister that he has outlined a lot of packages in his answer. If I may remind him, the introduction of a deprived area allowance scheme, accommodation for teachers in deprived areas, study leave with pay for teachers in deprived areas, and lastly, continuous professional development for teachers in deprived schools or areas. Mr. Speaker, my question is, all these things are geared towards motivating teachers to go to the rural areas. And looking at what is happening, I'm asking the Minister, is he trying to reintroduce the transfer grant to teachers in the urban areas to motivate them to go and enjoy these packages? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Minister, he's just talking about whether you consider introducing transfer grants to teachers in the urban areas.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the policies we have crafted are the ones I mentioned here. And Honorable Member has brought in another suggestion. Now, of course, I'm a listening person, so I have listened to him. And in future deliberations, I will look into it, right, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member, you have one more opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's okay now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable Ashiti. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to the Minister, and I want to ask him what has happened to the idea of decentralizing the management of education generally in this country. And that, don't you think that when you post people
one question at a time.
Okay.
You are entitled to one supplementary question.
So it's okay.
Yes, what has happened to the policy of decentralization in the education sector? Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. My honorable colleague, maybe you were not in the House in the last term. The Education Service Act was passed here, and we decided to stand down the decentralization portion of the Act. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a House of Records, so my colleague can check and know that when we're passing the Education Service Act, we stand down the portion that dealt with decentralization. And this is what the House did. Right Honorable.
Honorable Ranking Member, Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the Minister's answer, he mentioned that the incentives put in place or the measures include the introduction of deprived area allowances scheme, accommodation for teachers in deprived areas, stay leave with pay, and then CPD, that is a continuous professional development. But I saw that there's one thing missing in his answer, and if I want to ask if he will consider it, that is accelerated promotion for teachers. For teachers in these areas, in fact, they sacrifice a lot. What plans has the ministry got to accelerate their promotion in these communities? Thank you. Those in deprived communities. What is the acceleration plan for their promotion as teachers for them? That's accelerated promotion for teachers who serve in deprived areas. What plans has the ministry got to help them get promotion faster or earlier than others who serve in urban and city areas? Thank you.
Is the question talking about would the ministry consider the policy of accelerated promotions for teachers serving in deprived areas? Is that it? Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My ranking member of my committee is talking about giving me a very good suggestion, and Mr. Speaker, I've listened to it, and I'm going to take it into account because I work with him. He's my ranking member.
Yes, Honorable Member for. I'm struggling to identify the person behind Ablakwa. Obongo.
In the upper east. Stop intimidating. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the minister's response, paragraph 1, you indicate that there has been an improvement in terms of the what do you call it, the ratio from 1 to 24 to 1 to 21. I was saying that in your response, you had indicated that if you look at the PTR, there has been an improvement from 1 to 24 to 1 to 21, as at 2019-2020. If you look at the ideal ratio that has been given by what we call the educational block grant, they say it's 1 to 15. We have a huge number of teachers who have come out from universities that train teachers who are unemployed, and they are roaming around looking for spaces to really go and teach. What is your ministry doing to engage these trained persons to really reduce the ratio from 1 to 21 to 1 to 15? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I think a ratio of 21 is not a bad ratio at all. Around the world, people are looking at 30. The issue here is not about employment. We've employed about 90,000 teachers the last 4 years. What we are looking at here is rather deployment. So when you are looking at this average, it's great. 21, highly competitive with other education systems around the world. The challenge you have is the unevenness in the distribution of the
are teachers, and that is what we need to confront ourselves with, and not so much about the fact that we have 21. 21 is a very good number. Thank you, Ramon.
Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would just want to plead. Mr. Speaker, the Minister has quite a number of questions to answer. So I will plead with my colleagues, if we could allow the main colleagues who are asking the questions to do their supplementary, so that they channel it through them. Mr. Speaker, they are all constituency-specific questions. Mr. Speaker, it's a humble application to you, so that we can make some progress. Mr. Speaker, that is a humble prayer. That's a humble prayer. Mr. Speaker is there to guide proceedings, and I am accordingly praying, Mr. Speaker, to look at this and consider same.
Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows that there are a number of questions for the Minister to answer. We were supposed to start sitting at 2 p.m., but we eventually came here at 4. What was the majority side doing not to ensure that we all come here and start sitting at the time? Now you are directing the Speaker on what to do. Mr. Speaker, I don't think that it should be allowed.
Well, the issue you sought to address is now being worsened. You're looking for time, and you were pleading that your colleagues opposite should rather reduce the number of supplementary questions. But you are all now spending time, the leadership is spending more time of the minister. I think you should allow us to move on. We'll take your concerns on board, but we cannot curtail the rights of the members from asking questions. If we have to stay longer hours here, we will do so. We usually sometimes don't start on time because there are issues to be resolved before we come to sit. And in fact, we're at the lobby resolving some issues concerning the business of the House. And that took some time. That's why we did not commence at the 2 p.m. So please, if you are able to resolve your differences and you don't bring them to the lobby of the Speaker, for pre-sitting meetings, we will always sit on time. With this, we'll continue. Question? Yes, Honorable Helen. Is that Honorable Helen Intosu? Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the Minister whether he has received any report from Oti region that teachers who have been posted to the island communities have run away from their they've run away from their various places. If yes, may I know the plans he has? But that's the question. If yes, has he gotten any plans to resend this report?
Honorable Member, this is a substantive question. It's not a supplementary question. You are at liberty to file that question for the Minister to come and answer. But now the question is dealing with the gap of pupil-teacher ratio among urban and rural basic schools in Ghana. That is the issue before us.
I'm asking this because this talks about the gap.
Are you challenging my ruling?
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
Can I rephrase my question? What is he doing about teachers who have refused to report at the places where they've been posted to?
Honorable member, this question is not talking about the gap of people teacher rate. No. Please, if you want to support her, you can ask for her views before you come in. But for now, that was not the question. The last one goes to the honorable member for because you are a lady, I can't refuse. Yes, Honorable Haji Alade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, from the answer of the minister, he states that there is a higher attrition rate of teachers, which is a fact. Attrition. The attrition rate of teachers, especially in the rural areas. And because of that, the numbers are not the best. Or the ratio of people to teachers is not good enough. Will you consider reintroducing the bonding of teachers? Putting teachers on a bond, whereby when they complete, they would have to at least teach for 5 years before they can have that opportunity of doing whatever they think they need to do. Will you consider rebonding, the issue of bonding of teachers?
Well, the first part talking about attrition rate, I was a bit confused about that thing. Attrition rate of teachers in the rural areas. I didn't understand that aspect. But the second part is really supplementary. So, Minister, you may answer her question.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I know when teachers have allowances paid to them, they are required to stay in the service. So I don't understand the reintroduction part of this. What I also know is that for any position, place that you are posted to, you have to be there for 3 years before you can request to be transferred. And that is the Ghana Education Service policy.
Honorable members, we move to question number 60, which stands in the name of the Honorable Member for Bolsa South, Honorable Dr. Clement Apak. Honorable Member, you may do so now.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education if Mrs. Bluegrass Group Limited has supplied 853,009 units of CAPEC scientific mathematical instruments to the Ministry of Education at an estimated cost of 63,975,675 Ghana cedis at a unit cost of 75 Ghana cedis.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry on 11th October 2019 signed a contract with Mrs. Bluegrass Group Limited to supply a total number of 853,009 CAPEC scientific mathematics instruments prescribed by the West African Examination Council for senior high schools at a unit cost of 75 cedis. The contract was amended and signed by both parties on 22nd October 2020 to extend the deadline for submission of the mathematical instruments to 19 January 2021. Mrs. Bluegrass Group Limited has supplied 416,060 scientific mathematical instruments to the tune of 31,294,500 cedis out of the total quantity to be supplied per contract, hence breaching the contract under Section 24(1) of the General Conditions of Contracts. Due to this, the contract has been terminated.
Yes, Honourable Member, any supplementary?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Indeed, I have many supplementary questions. Mr. Speaker, during the vetting of the Minister for Education in February 2021, the Parliament's Appointments Committee posed a question with regards to the said matter to the Minister. The Minister responded as follows: that though there was a delay as a result of COVID-19 emergence, the gadgets, in this case, the mathematical sets, have arrived and distribution is ongoing. When did the gadgets arrive? When were they distributed? How were they distributed? And the 375,765 students who sat for WASI 2020 have access to the gadgets.
Choose one supplementary question at a time. You choose one supplementary question. What you ask is about, you were asking about 5 questions in one.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. I abide by your guidance. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask the Minister when the gadgets arrived and whether they were available to students for the purpose for which the contract was signed between the Ministry and Bluegrass Limited.
Well, we'll take when they arrived and when they were distributed to the members, students. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, I'm fully aware that this is the House of Records. I don't have the date with me, and I don't want to say any dates that I haven't checked. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I'll look for the date and I'll submit it to the House so that the record will reflect as to the date that it arrived and when the distribution took place.
Yes, Honourable Member, any more supplementary?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Can the Minister tell us if the students who took the AWASI exams in August 2020 had use of the said mathematical sets?
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I have to check the timeline. And as I indicated, I'll submit it to the House.
Yes, Honourable Member, any further supplementary?
Mr. Speaker, I believe the Minister is being evasive.
Honourable Member, that's not fair.
Very well. I withdraw.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask the Minister why the contract with Bluegrass Limited was terminated.
Why the contract was terminated? Yes, Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, in my response to this question, I indicated that they asked for extension, the extension was given, and still they did not supply, so for non-compliance. I indicated this.
Yes, it's in your answer to the question. Breach of the contract under Section 24(1)(a) of the General Conditions of Contracts. Due to this, the contract has been terminated. Yes, let me start with Honorable Ablakwa. I'll come to the ranking member before I recognize the rest of you. Yes, please.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, at the Appointments Committee, the Honourable nominee at the time, who is now the Honourable Minister, told us that all the 853,009 CAPEX scientific mathematical sets have arrived and are being distributed. Indeed, this House gave the Ministry a waiver for all the mathematical instruments to be cleared, a tax waiver for the quantum 853,009. Can the Honourable Minister reconcile? Because we are hearing this for the first time. The record available to this House is that all were delivered. Can the Honourable Minister reconcile what he told this House, the Speaker's Appointment Committee, and what we are now being told? What accounts for the discrepancy?
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Right, Honourable Speaker, during my vetting, maybe, I really don't recall ever saying that all the items had been supplied. Right, Honourable Speaker, I did not in any way, shape, or form indicated, I don't recall, that I said all the items had been supplied.
Honourable Ranking Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the Minister's answer, he mentioned that 416,060 scientific mathematical instruments were supplied by the company, that is Bluegrass Company Limited. I want to find out from the Minister if the Ministry has any plans to make sure that the difference between the 853,009 and 416,060 is made available to WAEC. Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Right, Honourable Speaker. Unfortunately, maybe because of the mask, I didn't hear my colleague very well.
Honourable Member, repeat your question, but I heard him to say he just wanted to know efforts you are putting in place to make sure that the difference be procured and supplied. Am I right? Yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I will make every effort to do just that. Thank you.
He says he will make effort. So, he is to start. Yes, Honourable, which of you is a member of the Education Committee? None. And so, which of you is senior? Who is senior? Let me give the chance to the one in black. I haven't heard his voice recently.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. First of all, I want to know the procurement method that was used in procuring this mass set. And to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Speaker, the market price of a mass set, mathematical set, standard one, is about 7 cedis. Can the Minister justify the 75 Ghana cedis as a unit of a mathematical set? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So your question is the method of procurement. Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I think the cause has been stated here, and single source because of the propriety of the item in question. And of course, you have to go through PPA approval. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member for Bole.
Mr. Speaker, I think I have to put my question down and insist on the question that my colleague asked. What is the procurement method used in this contract? Yes. And justify why we are paying these huge sums of money for a mathematical set, Mr. Minister. Yes. Thank you.
The question is on the procurement method. Don't talk about the price. What was the procurement method used?
Right, Honorable Speaker, and I probably think it's the mass. I said it, there is single source because of the proprietary nature of the equipment. I said it here.
Yeah, Honorable Minister, I did myself here single source, yes. But I heard about the issue of the pricing. Yes, Honorable Dafiemako.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, clearly from the minister's answer, barely half of the instruments that we contracted the company to supply have been supplied. And from his own answer, it appears the requisite sum has been paid, because it's stated in the answer. My interest is that my students in Southern never got the benefit of receiving the first batch that was supplied prior to termination.
They terminated the contract.
So I want to ask the Honorable Minister what steps is taking to ensure that the outstanding number of mathematical sets that this House approved to be supplied is supplied, so my students in Southern can be given their fair share. Thank you.
Question has already been asked and answered. Any further supplementary? Yes, the Honorable Edward Bauer.
Oh, you don't know your name again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to know what was the track record, because you said it was sole sourcing. What was the track record of the company that you engaged? What is the track record of that company? Bluegrass. That because you said you sole sourced. And you failed. Because if you look at your response, you said the contractor did not deliver. So on the basis of that, there was a termination of contract. The question then is, what was the track record that informed your decision to sole source that particular company?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Kaspersky mathematical instrument or set is used by WAEC in the other West African countries that participate in the same exam. And their recommendation was that it has what makes it possible for to avoid situations where other instruments may be programmed and therefore it can lend itself to cheating in the exams. So this came highly recommended by WAEC. So it's not so much about the track record, it's about the equipment that we needed to procure. Thank you, Ran.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the Minister's answer, he indicated that the contract was abrogated due to the inability of the contractor to supply the equipment. May I know whether there were sanctions clauses in the contract signed with the contractor? And if yes, what sanctions were given to the contractor? Because his failure has denied us of getting the mass set for our students for the examination. So if there were sanctions clauses, what sanctions did we give to the contractor? Okay. Thank you very much.
Sanctions
for breach of
against
contract.
the contractor for failure to deliver. Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, there were no sanctions applied. We terminated the contract. After extending it, we terminated the contract.
Honorable Ashite.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, did I hear the minister say that they could program the mathematical sets? And that is the reason why they have to buy it at a cost? Did you say program the mathematical sets?
Well, your supplementary question is to get clarification from the minister as to whether he said they programmed.
The program, yes.
Yes.
Program the mathematical set, yes.
They programmed the mathematical set.
Yes.
Is that what you said, Minister?
If it is not.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Kaspersky instrument is not just a mathematical set, it comes with a calculator. So it's a combo. And consequently, the aspect that can be programmed is the calculator that is attached to it.
Supplementary, Suhini.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the minister in his answer says Mrs. Bluegrass Group Limited supplied 416,060 scientific mathematical instruments to the tune of 31,204,500 Ghana cedis. I want to know from the minister if Bluegrass was paid fully the contract sum before the delivery.
Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not an accountant, but the basic understanding I have with accounting and finance is that you're not going to pay somebody fully before they deliver. So I don't know that such a transaction took place, that the supplier was paid fully before delivery. No.
Honorable members, we move on to question number 61, which also stands in the name of Honorable Member for Bulsa South, Honorable Dr. Clement Abbas Apak. Honorable Member, yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education if government would procure and distribute past examination questions to final year students preparing to write the West African Senior High School Certificate Examination this year, 2021, and how that will be funded.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, to have prepared the final year students of our senior high schools for 2021 West African Senior High School Certificate Exam, the Ministry has procured 446,954 past questions for the examination, and it's going to be paid. It is paid out of the free senior high school budget.
Yes, Honorable Member. Supplementary questions.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In the Minister's response, he indicates that Mrs. Kingdom Books and Stationery was the entity that was contracted to provide 446,954 passed West African Senior High School certificate examination questions at a unit price of 78 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this works out to 34,862,412 Ghana cedis. May I ask the Minister how the said company was selected to produce and supply the said examination questions?
Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it's a single source procurement process and of course approved by PPA.
Any further supplementary?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, can the Minister tell us why in 2021, the same company that supplied same questions to those who wrote WASI in 2020 was given a contract by sole sourcing?
Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, as it was alluded to by my honorable colleague, the same company has the track record. Thank you, Right.
Last supplementary question.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Minister has misrepresented me. I never said the same company had a track record. I didn't say so, for the records. In any case, Mr. Speaker, can the Minister tell this House whether it has now become policy as part of the implementation of the free senior high school policy of the state and government to procure and supply past examination questions to candidates who will be writing the WASI examinations?
Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker. My honorable colleague is a member of the Education Committee, and we have not made any policy to that effect. So it's not a policy.
Ranking Member, Education.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Minister, in the last sentence of his answer, said, and I quote, "The procurement will be funded from the free senior high school account," unquote. Mr. Speaker, in the 2021 budget, I did not see any provision under free senior high school account. Can the Minister tell the House how this budgetary allocation is to be funded? Because there's nothing like free senior high school account in the 2021 estimates for Ghana Education Service or the Ministry of Education. Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Honorable Speaker, my ranking member has been supportive of our efforts, and we reviewed the budget with them. Free senior high school was fully funded by the government, so I don't understand why you are saying there was no free senior high school account. There was a free senior high school account. That is why, and that is how we are funding free senior high school.
Honorable Ashton.
Tel Aviv. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, Honorable Tel Aviv.
Yes.
Ebenezer Tel Aviv.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister why they decided to purchase the past questions from Kingdom Books instead of WAEC itself, the producers of the questions themselves.
Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the issue of past questions, you see, it's not the question, the response to the question, the examiner's report. All these are questions that have been responded to. is not just going to buy past questions and responses, examiners' report and responses. Right, Honorable Speaker, for those of us who went to village schools, I never saw past questions. So some of you who might have gone to the best schools in the country were privy to these questions in your libraries. You were taught by examiners, and past questions are nothing to you. But for those of us who went to the so-called mushroom schools, past questions was something we never saw. So this is an opportunity for our students to have access to examiners' reports, responses to previous questions, so that they can study.
Last supplementary question from Honorable Sam George.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in the Minister's last response, he says that it's not just the past questions, but the examiner's reports and all of those. Those are the proprietary material from WAEC, not Kingdom Book. So the question remains, why did you not buy from those who set the questions and gave you the examiner's report? Why, and own that report? Why did you buy from a third party, Kingdom Books?
Well, Honorable Minister, they want further elucidation on the question. Please, you may do so.
Right, Honorable Speaker, so far as I know, WAEC is not into the business of printing and binding books. Thank you.
Honorable members, we move on to the next question. Question number 64. Yes, the available leader.
Mr. Speaker, with your leave, may we vary the business of the day and Mr. Speaker, with your leave, may we vary the business of the day and take item 8. Amen.
Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, my attention was drawn to the presence of our respected Minister for Trade and Industry in connection with that question. But I thought that looking at the answers that have been published, the Minister for Education be allowed to just complete it before we move to the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry. So kindly allow it, because there are very short answers to the questions, and we'll soon finish. Then we'll give the opportunity to the Minister for Trade and Industry.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, I made the application because the intervening communication gave an indication that Mr. Speaker would oblige me, Mr. Speaker, and that is why the application was made. However, if it's your pleasure that we proceed as normal, that will be respected.
Honorable Member, my understanding was that after we finish the questions and answers, you apply for me to vary the order of business for us to move to that item. My understanding was not that we'll break in between the questions and answers, go to that and come back to it. I don't think that is quite neat. So please, let's allow the Minister for Education to finish. We'll handle my very good friend, the Minister for Trade and Industry.
This is a reputational matter. Mr. Speaker, with respect, I respect procedure and I pay attention to procedures. I am saying that the intervener had given that communication and insisted. So perhaps the intervener did not get the communication right from your hand. However, I respect it because he kept insisting that Mr. Speaker will oblige we breaking to take that item so that the minister will continue. So I engage the minister as well on that. That having said that, Mr. Speaker, we are in your hands and we shall proceed accordingly, except that I didn't do the wrong thing.
Honorable members, question number 64. It stands in the name of the Honorable Member for Afram Plains North, Honorable Miss Betty Nana Ifua Crosby Mensah. Sorry, we have not finished 62. All right, 62 before 64. Yes, 62.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for indulging me. I appreciate the fact that I have rather too many questions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education how much it costs the state to procure 8,755 past examination questions for senior high school students who wrote the West African Senior High School Certificate Examination in 2020 and the source of funds for the said procurement.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, in 2020, government through its efforts to help students amidst COVID-19 to prepare for the 2020 West African Senior High School Certificate Examination procured 568,755 past questions for students to try their hands on before sitting for the actual exams. The Ministry of Education contracted Mrs. Kingdom Books and Stationery to supply the 568,755 WASI past questions at a contract price of 33,641,043 cedis and 75 pesos. The procurement of these questions was funded through the senior high school account. And the results of the 2020 WASI was tremendous as compared to the previous WASI exam.
Honorable Member, any supplementary?
Yes, Right Honourable Speaker. As to the judgment of the performance, that is still out to the jury. In any case, Mr. Speaker, I would want to find out from the Minister what has accounted for the increase per unit of examination questions procured and supplied to students between 2020 and 2021 at 32%, provided by the same supplier, when even textbooks have not seen a price increase.
Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I have not done any calculation on it to know that it's 32%. I don't know where the 32% is coming from. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member, supplementary.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Speaker, in 2020, a total of 33,643 Ghana cedis and 75 pesos were procured 568,755 past exams. The Speaker, when you do the calculation, it works out to 59 Ghana cedis per unit. In the Minister's own answer, with regards to say In the year 2021, he indicated very clearly that the ministry had procured 446,554 past examination questions at a rate of 78 Ghana cedis. This works out to 34,862,412 Ghana cedis. The Speaker, doing the computation, this is a quantum leap of 32%. What accounts for this quantum leap? Procured from the same company, entity, by the same ministry.
Well, Minister, it's a rehashed question, but you may answer.
Right Honorable Speaker, the difference is based on the volume. The number of pages in the 2021 is different from that of the 2020.
Yes. Ranking Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 2020, according to the minister, they procured 568,755 question papers. But this year, they are acquiring 446,954. Does that mean that there's a decrease in the number of students writing the WASE this year?
Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, that is no indication of a decrease in the number of students sitting for the exam. Libraries across all our schools are giving copies of the books. And since most of them have the previous one, we added a few more to them because it is a more abridged version where we've added more years to the preparation. So we didn't have to do the same number for the libraries.
Last supplementary question. Yes, Honourable Member from Ashaima.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to know from the Minister whether over 33 million contract was also awarded based on single source procurement method. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I heard something about 83 million, and I don't know where that is coming from.
He's talking about the 33.6 million, the one in the answer.
Okay, we use the same procedure as the previous.
Honourable members, we move to question number 64. Standing in the name of the Honourable Member for Afram Plains North, Honourable Ms. Betty Nana Ifua Crosby Mensah. Honourable Member, you may now ask your question.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education what measures the ministry is putting in place to tackle the teacher deficit in Kou Afram Plains North District.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, the issue of teacher deficit in deprived areas is a national challenge and does not only apply to Kou Afram Plains North District. ME's data indicates that there is inequity in the distribution of teachers across the country, implying that schools at the pre-tertiary level may be overstaffed or understaffed in some parts of the country. The inequitable distribution of teachers is caused by various factors, including the following. 1. Refusal of newly trained teachers to accept postings to deprived areas. high attrition rate for teachers in deprived areas, interference in teacher deployment, example, request for reposting, inadequate incentive for deployment and retention of teachers in deprived areas. The Ministry of Education, through the Ghana Education Service, is addressing these challenges and have put in place measures to make postings of teachers to these areas more attractive. The measures include the introduction of the following for teachers in deprived areas: the deprived area allowance scheme that is being considered, or accelerated promotion of teachers, accommodation for teachers, study leave with pay for teachers, which you get after 3 years instead of 4 if you are not in a deprived area, continuous professional development for teachers that enable people to be promoted at a faster rate than those who are not in deprived areas, and then prioritize school preference, which is trained teachers who wants to go to deprived communities are prioritized for placement before the rest of the teachers are posted. Mr. Speaker, it is the hope of the ministry that teachers will accept and maintain their postings to these deprived areas, including Kwahu Afram Plains North District, with these new measures in place. Thank you, Mr.
Honourable Member, any supplementary questions?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. The Minister's response indicates that newly trained teachers refuse posting to deprived areas such as Afram Plains North, which has resulted in over 500 teacher deficits in one district. Mr. Speaker, over 500 teacher deficits. Now, my question again is, what are the Minister's plans for indigents of Afram Plains who have completed various colleges of education in 2018, 2019, 2020, and are willing and ready to be posted to all parts of the district to actually serve and also bring good education to the people of Afram Plains North? Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I get excited when my colleagues bring up questions and bring up solutions. I'll be speaking to my honourable colleague after this answering of questions is over.
Honourable Member, any further question? Yes, Honourable Ebenezer Teilabi.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister if he will not consider decentralizing employment of teachers. If teachers are being posted, newly trained teachers are being posted and they are refusing to go, don't you think that if we decentralize and we recruit teachers from, these communities, we'll be able to fill the gap?
Honourable Minister.
Right, Honourable Speaker, this is turning out to not be questions but comments and good suggestions, and I accept it.
Honourable members, we move. Now supplementary, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the second paragraph, the Minister states that the Ministry, through the Ghana Education Service, has put in place some measures, and he lists a number of them. The first one is Deprived Area Allowance Scheme. Can the Minister give us an idea of how much this allowance is involved? How much allowance are you paying a teacher in a deprived? Are you going to pay a teacher in a deprived area? And how soon will this be implemented? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Right, Honourable Speaker, before I get into trouble, I said that these are options that Ghana Education Service is considering. And as soon as the decision is made, I will announce it to the whole world, and I'll be very happy to come to this house and announce it.
Honorable Minister, your answer did not flow from the main answer, because the main answer says the ministry and Ghana Education Service are addressing these challenges and have put in place measures to make postings of teachers to these areas more attractive. The measures include the introduction of the following for teachers in deprived areas: deprived area allowance scheme. So the measure is in place. Now, what is the outcome of the measure? That's what they wanted to know.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the briefing I had from the Ghana Education Service is that they are in discussion with the unions and they have not come up with a set amount yet. So probably I should have rephrased it that they are considering instead of saying it's in place. Thank you.
Well, the scheme is in place. The amount has not been decided because you have categories of teachers and they will not have the same allowance. Yes, we move to question number 65. Stands in the name of the Honourable Member for Ashaiman, Honourable Ernest Henry Nogbe. Please, Honourable Member, you may ask your question now.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I write to ask the Minister when construction of the following school buildings in Ashama will be completed and commissioned. I, Ashama number 1 Junior High School. I, Clementina Junior High School. I, Bethel Junior High School. And Ivy, Presbyterian Junior High School. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Right, Honourable Speaker. These projects were awarded through the Ashama Municipal Assembly and at various stages of completion. All contractors on the projects have abandoned sites. Therefore, engage the Ashama Municipal Assembly together with GetFund to see to the early completion and commissioning of these projects for the municipality.
Yes, any supplementary?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Yes, in the Minister's answer, contractors have abandoned the site. Can the Minister tell me why the contractors abandoned the site? Thank you very much.
Minister, can you tell him why the contractors abandoned site?
Right, Honourable Speaker. Unfortunately, I cannot tell him.
The contracts were awarded by the Ashaiman Municipal Assembly, not the ministry. It didn't say get fund. Yes. Yes, please. Further supplementary.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Can the Minister assure the people of Ashaiman by giving us time frame within which completion and commissioning of these projects will be done? Thank you very much.
Commissioning. Completion.
Completion and commissioning.
The answer of the Minister is that they will engage. They have not even yet engaged the municipality or the GET fund to see to the early completion. So how will they be telling you when it will be completed?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Let me rephrase my question.
Yes, rephrase.
When will the Minister engage these stakeholders for the project to be completed and commissioned? Thank you very much.
Minister, when will you engage these stakeholders?
Right, Honourable Speaker. I will begin engaging my brother, my colleague, the MP, and then we'll set up a meeting with the Municipal Assembly and Get Fund together. I'll be sitting with him in my office to go over this issue within the next week. So count on it that I'll be talking to you.
Say it in the mic. Yes. Supplementary, ranking member.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the minister's answer, he said the contracts were awarded through the Ashama Municipal Assembly. I would like to find out from the minister whether it was the ministry that is responsible for the project or Get Fund. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the procedure is very simple. When Get Fund has allocation for municipalities, the communication goes directly to the municipality. Then the municipality, through its own entity tender committee, awards the contract and supervises the contract. So that is the procedure. In those cases, the ministry does not directly award the contract. It's rather the municipality, which on the authority of Get Fund, in terms of funding availability, awards the contract and supervises the contract.
Yes, Honorable Dafiamako.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, in an answer to a supplementary question from the Honorable Member for Ashama, the minister said to this House that he cannot tell. Mr. Speaker, so I want to have this clarification from me. Is the minister saying that because the project was awarded by the Ashama Municipal Assembly, he is unable to tell, or he has information to the House? Because if you say, I cannot tell you, it means I have information, but I will not tell you. But if he wants to suggest or convey that he is unable to tell, because the awarding agency doesn't fall under his supervisory ministry, then there will be very clear there. But it was a very specific question. So he's answered that he cannot.
Honorable Minister, clarification.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I do not have the information.
Yes, Honorable Chiwite.
Kind advice on this. Regarding the minister's answer, it's in line with what Honorable Dafamuka said. I do know that we cannot file questions directly to agencies under the ministry. And that was why the Honorable Member filed a question to his ministry. Honorable Minister, you are telling us that we should file questions directly to Ashama Municipality to get answers to the question? So Mr. Speaker, I need your guidance here, because we cannot pass the questions directly there. And so we expect that the minister that is in charge of that ministry should come to the House and give us answers to questions. If he comes and he's telling us because his ministry did not award the contract, he cannot give us answers, then, right, Honourable Speaker, how are we going to get answers to our questions? I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member, the subject matter is under his ministry. That is education. But the agency, the municipality, is not under his ministry. The Get Fund is under his ministry. So he gets to know that they were awarded through the municipality. And the information he got is that all the contractors have abandoned site. So he's going to engage the Get Fund and the municipality to try to solve this. So that is where he is now. You may not be satisfied with the answer of the minister, but that, as somebody said, is left to the jury. You see, that's what you have to do. Yes, but Minister, if you have further information you want to give, please, you may do so. If not, we'll go on to the next question.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I don't have any information.
Question number 66 stands in the name of the Honorable Member for Ashaiman, Honorable Ernest Henry Nogbe. Honorable Member, you may ask your question now.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister once again when the construction of the Community Day School, that is the E-block, situated in Ashama Community 22, will be completed and commissioned. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the project in question is part of the Phase 1 of Community Day Senior High School projects funded by the Government of Ghana and re-awarded to Mrs. Upgrade Developers. The Ministry of Education is committed to complete and make use of this project and has facilitated this since 2017. To date, the completion of the as part of the completion of e-blocks across the country. Mr. Speaker, the overall progress of the project at Michelle Camp Community 22 in the Ashama municipality is 70% complete, and the breakdown of work done is as follows. The e-block is roofed, door and window frames fixed, wall plastering ongoing, balustrades fixed. The contractor, Mrs. Upgrade Developers, has abandoned site, and the ministry will engage with the contractor and the consultant to agree on new work schedule to complete the project on time for use.
Honorable Member, any supplementary question?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Is the Minister aware that students or Ghana Education Service place students in the uncompleted building in the bush? Is the Minister aware? In the bush? Yes. Thank you.
Yes, Minister, are you aware?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm aware that in certain instances when the main block has been completed and certain facilities have not been completed, with the support of the Municipal Assembly, the MP, and other stakeholders, facilities like that in partial use.
Any further supplementary?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. Yes, according to the Minister, the ministry is committed to complete the said project. What step is the ministry taking to come to that realization, since according to the Minister, the contractor abandoned the site? Thank you very much.
Yes, Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it seems like I'm going to have some Ashaman project going. So I'm going to be meeting with my colleague. We will jumpstart this and make sure we can complete this building for the benefit of the children of Ashaman.
Last supplementary question.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Can the Minister assure the House, for that matter, the people of Ashiama, by giving us some time frame for the completion and commissioning of this said project?
Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the time frame I've indicated is the meeting with my colleague and other stakeholders involved in this project, and that I will fulfill.
Honorable members, we go to the last question. Number 67 stands in the name of the Honorable Member for Ache Bubu Amanten, Honorable Sanja Nanja. Honorable Member, you may ask your question now. Your mic, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to ask the Minister for Education what plans the ministry has to construct a dining hall for the Amanti Senior High School.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, the construction of a dining hall for Amantin Senior High School will be programmed for implementation together with other infrastructure requests from various senior high schools when funding is made available. Thank you.
Any supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I want to know if the ministry, as a stopgap measure, would like to collaborate with the Amantin and Nkese Community Bank to complete the dining hall project they have started since 2016, but has been stalled.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
I'm asking, thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's on.
Mic is on, go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is that, will the ministry consider collaborating with Amantin and Nkese Rural Community Bank, which have started a construction of a dining hall since 2016, but the project has come to a standstill, if the ministry can collaborate with them to complete it, since the school has no any structure as a dining hall?
Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I've already indicated that we get requests from schools across the country, and Amantin will be added to the list. When the opportunity comes, I would like to make my friend happy. So I will add it to the list of projects that, when funds are available, we'll be able to execute.
Minister, his request is that there is a structure that is under construction now to serve as a dining hall, started in 2016. And he was asking whether you could not support the stakeholders to complete that structure. In the meantime, that's what he's talking about.
Right, Honorable Speaker, GetFund can get itself involved in that, but normally they will do the structural integrity test. When they test the building and the structural integrity is right, that is possible, that we can take over from there and complete it.
Honorable Member, any further supplementary?
I would really be very grateful if the minister, his last answer, your last answer that you check the building, whether it is in good shape, and then you support. I'll be very grateful if you could give us some timelines that you could facilitate this to save the situation, because the students are eating.
Honorable MP, this is a matter you should get in touch with the minister.
Okay.
He's talking about GetFund.
All right.
That GetFund could do that. But before they do that, they have to test the structural integrity. That is GetFund.
Yes, sir.
And so get in touch with the ministry. You can discuss this, and then through your intervention, it could be done faster. That is my piece of advice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, we may now move to the next item, and with your kind permission, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for Education for attending upon the House and answering the Honorable Minister. We are grateful, and you are hereby discharged. We now move to item 8. Item 8 on the order paper. Motion. Chairman of the committee. We are now dealing with trade, industry, and tourism. Yes, Chairman.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that this Honorable House adopts the report of the Committee on Trade, Industry, and Tourism on the interim trade partnership agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana of one part and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on the other part. Honorable Speaker, whilst I indulge the Hansa Department to capture the whole report, I'd like to mention or cover a few salient points in the report which the committee arrived at. Honourable Speaker, before I do that, let me commend the Minister of Trade and his technical team for the great assistance they have accorded the committee in understanding the concepts of the agreement and arriving at the decisions that we arrived at. Honourable Speaker, since 2007, an IEPA, which is an interim economic partnership agreement between Ghana and the EU was established. And this legal framework formed the basis within which trade was conducted between these two parties. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, in July 2016, this IEPA was formalized, or let me say was formally signed. And by August 2016, this August House ratified the agreement. It is interesting to note that the UK had been trading within this particular agreement throughout this period. Within the UK actually contemplated that by December 2020, let's say 31st December 2020, they were going to embark on an exit from the EU. By so saying, they had to form or conduct new agreements with various countries, bilateral agreements with various countries, in order for trade not to be disrupted. Mr. Speaker, in March 2018, the UK and Ghana initiated a test to, as it were, arrive at a legal framework within which UK and Ghana would conduct trade in case of Brexit. This arrangement or negotiations could not come to fruition until 1st January 2021, where the UK decided to penalize Ghanaian products entering their country, slapping them with duties. In fact, if you look at the records, you would see the date and the quantum or amount of exports that were received within the UK in this period from the players or the traders within this market. They indicated that a lot of people canceled their contracts because of the inability of Ghana and the UK to arrive at a conclusive agreement. Mr. Speaker, today, UK and Ghana have decided to sign an agreement with a test that has been agreed upon, which test is based on what the ECOWAS wording or ECOWAS agreement seeks to cover. Just so that in case ECOWAS decide in the future to have an agreement with the UK, Ghana will not be found wanting. For purposes of explanation, what this agreement seeks to do is to accept products or, for that matter, trade into the UK free of duty, quota free as well. Whilst Ghana has agreed to also liberalize gradually within a period of, I think, 10 years or so, imports arriving from UK and the duties thereon. Mr. Speaker, the committee therefore came to the conclusion that in view of the trade relationship between the two countries and opportunities that will stand to benefit, the ratification of this Ghana-UK trade partnership agreement by this August House, Ghana would not only help avoid trade disruptions between the two countries, it will also make provision for the protection of sensitive industries as well as financial adjustment support that will facilitate reforms of the fiscal revenue system. The committee, therefore, Mr. Speaker, recommends to the House to adopt the report on the ratification of the interim trade partnership agreement between the Republic of Ghana of one part and the United Kingdom of Great Britain on the other part. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I recommend that the agreement be adopted by this House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Motion moved. Any seconder? Yes. Ranking member.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I write to second the motion. And in doing so, Mr. Speaker, let me thank the Ministry of Trade and Industry for their full participation and the extensive work done up to this point. Mr. Speaker, the ratification will allow this agreement to be the legal framework for trade between the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and Ghana. Mr. Speaker, but there was a sad beginning of this agreement. We knew long years back that the UK was planning to exit the EU. And so the negotiation began in 2018. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, by December 2020, we had not finalized the agreement. And the UK imposed stiff sanctions on specific goods, products originating from Ghana. And Mr. Speaker, it affected profitability and competitiveness of Ghanaian businesses. And we met these traders, and they have not recovered up to this point. Mr. Speaker, there's a clear lesson to be learned from this experience that we must project and make sure we are ahead of the ball, that this will not happen again. Because, as some of the traders explained to us, it will be difficult for them to even recover. Because within that period where they were not competitive, a lot of countries took their businesses, and they are struggling to recover from that. And so clearly, a lot of lessons to be learned. But Mr. Speaker, there were very good points in this agreement. What is really important in this agreement, that the agreement recognizes that yes, we are going to sign this legal agreement with Great Britain, that our regional integration, our efforts at economic integration in the sub-region is fundamental. And that's why the test itself was taken from that agreement. Very, very important. Mr. Speaker, that must tell us that if we look at this agreement closely, where we as a country are going to get advantage, it's not going to come from an agreement with the United Kingdom. It will come from an agreement within our ECOWAS region or within our continental. And that's why, for example, we must be so focused on the African continental free trade. We've talked about the advantages in it. So even while we approve this agreement, we have to understand that the panacea for economic independence and freedom is never going to come from this agreement with the UK. However, let me point out that this is very important because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the non-traditional exports to the EU, as this report has stated, almost 35% of those exports, non-traditional, to the UK. So it means that the UK market is very critical for us. And that is why this agreement is very important. But as has been stated, there are key elements. One critical element has to do with trade liberalization. The products originating from Ghana will be imported into the UK free of custom duties, so as the UK. And Mr. Speaker, clear advantage. We have to look at where we are with our industries. We have to look at the type of products we are exporting and the value addition advantage that UK has. And so, Mr. Speaker, the question must really be asked, the benefits. We asked in this discussion with the Ministry of Trade, of course, benefit analysis. Originally, it was not brought. But, Mr. Speaker, when it was finally brought to us, it became obvious that in the first year, for example, 2021, Ghana will lose revenue to the tune of over 115 million Ghana cedis. representing 10.16% of total revenue. Now, the coming years, the revenue that we are going to lose were not provided. And I think we've asked the Ministry of Trade to make sure that that information is forthcoming. So we know. A point that was made was that there was some cost of fiscal adjustment in terms of support that we are going to get from the UK to really help cushion these losses we've talked about, which is very important. Also very importantly, that there are certain export products, sensitive products, that we have excluded from this regime to ensure, for example, that we can protect our poultry industry, agriculture sector, and certain critical areas that we want to be able to be strong on. The Speaker, this agreement is very important. And so we must, yes, sign it, but we must not take our eye on the ball. For example, one of the things we ask the Ministry of Trade to do is the issue of monitoring. Strengthen the monitoring regime to ensure that indeed we are following the spirit and letter of this agreement. Mr. Speaker, on that note, I ask that this House approves this agreement. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, the motion is moved and seconded. Is for the consideration of the House. Yes, Honourable Member for Bole.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise to support the motion that this House ratify this agreement between the UK and the Ghana government. The chairman and the ranking of this committee have already given us the background to this very important agreement. And so I just want to touch on a few issues that came up during our deliberations. Mr. Speaker, this agreement has some very important elements in it. We are talking about regional integration as one of the elements. We're talking about tariff liberalization. We're talking about exemption in relation to custom duties and other charges, all contained in this agreement. We're talking about creating an avenue for us to be able to enhance our agriculture, fisheries, and food security. We're talking about what we call rules of origin in terms of what we produce within the country and where we are taking it to and what the UK produces and when it is coming to Ghana. Mr. Speaker, another very important element in the agreement is trade defense measures, which is very important that we take note of it in this agreement. And I'm very happy that it's been captured in this agreement. Mr. Speaker, you cannot talk about going into a contractual agreement without also looking at the issue of dispute settlements. And this has also been captured very, very well in this agreement. Mr. Speaker, also important is the issue of ratification and entry. Today, the essence of this engagement is for us to ratify this agreement. There should be a gate where we can also exit. Very important in contract agreement. And this is also captured in the agreement. So that any time that any of the countries wants to exit, there's a condition that you have to satisfy. You will have to give notice for at least 6 months before you can exit. And that for me is comforting. Mr. Speaker, like my ranking stated, in terms of cost-benefit analysis, the UK stand to better, get more gains than us. However, there's a need for us to still go into this arrangement. And so when we look at the financial analysis, yes, we are losing. But comparatively, we can also gain in the long run. And that is what is giving us the motivation to ask that this House to ratify this agreement. Mr. Speaker, I cannot sit without talking about some potential that this agreement brings. And like I've mentioned some of them, we're now going to have a situation where our local industries will be competitive. We will also benefit from protection of sensitive industries under this agreement. And finally, Mr. Speaker, in terms of the benefits, we will end up creating more jobs for our people. Once the local industry is booming, it will bring about job creation. Very important, which again has been mentioned, has to do with monitoring. We cannot go into this agreement and just allow it like that. So the committee recommended, as one of our observations, that we should put in place a monitoring framework. And what have we suggested? We have recommended to the ministry that every 6 months or so, they should be able to give us an update as to how this agreement is being implemented, so that we are guided. Where we think we are not reaping the benefit that we're supposed to get, then we can advise ourselves by triggering the exit clause in the agreement. Mr. Speaker, with this contribution, I want to call on the House to fully support the ratification of this agreement because Ghana stands to benefit. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Honourable members, let's listen to the Minister. I think what has been said shows that we agree it's a very good agreement and we have to ratify it. But let's listen to the Minister. He's been here since morning and I thank him for his patience all this while because he is not a member of Parliament. He is a Minister of State. Yes, Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish.
Honourable members, you are in Parliament. This is the floor of Parliament, not a rally ground. Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to express my profound gratitude to the Select Committee for the excellent collaboration between the committee and my ministry, and also to thank honourable members for the bipartisan support for this agreement. As has already been said by the honourable speakers, honourable members who have spoken before, the agreement provides an opportunity for our country to export to United Kingdom duty-free, quota-free. And I'm fully convinced that exporters who are currently exporting to the United Kingdom would also provide the lead for other exporters of non-traditional exporters to take advantage of the UK market. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that between 2016 and then 2019, Ghana exported over 1.5 billion worth of goods to the United Kingdom. Without the benefit of this agreement, trade will be disrupted and will lose the benefit of this significant export value. So I can only end by assuring the honourable members of this House that in implementing the agreement, that the interests of our country will be fully protected. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I think we should conclude the debate now and I'll put the question. Those in favor of the ratification of the agreement, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the report of the committee has accordingly been adopted. We will now move on to the resolution. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the resolution 9 captured on pages 5 and 6 of today's order paper be adopted. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Motion for adoption of resolution moved. No seconder.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to second.
Moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. It being a consequential resolution on the motion we just adopted, may I be permitted to put the question? And I put the question. Those in favor of the resolution, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. This House has accordingly resolved to ratify the trade agreement in accordance with Article 75 of the 1992 Constitution. Honorable members, any guidance from leadership?
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker. May we move to item 7H?
Sorry?
7H of page 4. Mr. Speaker, 7H.
7H.
H, yes.
Honorable members, before we do that, let me, on behalf of all of you, thank the Minister for Trade and Industry for at least taking the whole day here. As I said, he's not a member of Parliament, but he's a Minister of State and is qualified to sit in and participate in the work of the House. And today he has done just that. So, Minister, we thank you for coming. We want to see more of you here. Honorable members, item 7. Item 7 at page 7, presentation of papers. May I say that item 7A, item 7A be not laid now, but the practice of pre-laying should commence, and therefore the draft standing orders of the Parliament of Ghana 2021 be submitted to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee for them to set in motion the process of the pre-laying. Then after that, we can then formally lay the instrument before the House. Yes, with this, I move on to 7H at page 4. 7H by the chairman of the committee. Roman 1.
Report of the Finance Committee on the report of the Finance Committee on the report of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee on the management and use of petroleum revenues for the period January to June 2020.
Honorable members, the paper has accordingly been presented to the House and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. We move on to Roman 2.
Report of the Finance Committee on the annual report of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee on the management and use of petroleum revenues for the period January to December 2020.
Again, honorable members, paper presented accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. And now we take Roman 3.
Report of the Finance Committee on the semi-annual report of the Bank of Ghana on the Ghana Petroleum Funds for the period July 1st to December 31st, 2020.
Honorable members, report has been presented accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. And we take the final 7H, Roman 4.
Report of the Finance Committee on the request for waiver of import duty, import get fund levy, import NHIL, import VAT, EXIM levy, COVID-19 recovery levy, special import levy, ECOWAS levy and AU levy, amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 11,512,946 on materials, equipment and works required to be procured for the Ghana aided Phase 2 project at the University of Health and Allied Sciences at Ho in the Volta region.
Honorable members, report is presented to the House accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. Yes, any further guidance?
Mr. Speaker, item 7F.
Honorable members, item 7F by the chairman of the committee.
Report of the
Roman
committee.
1.
Report of the Committee on Lands and Forestry on the annual report of the Forestry Commission for the year 2016.
Honorable members, the report has been laid and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. We now take 7F, Roman 2.
Report of the Committee on Lands and Forestry on the annual report of the Forestry Commission for the year 2017.
Report has also been laid accordingly and for distribution to all members of Parliament. Any further guidance? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House be adjourned till tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Honorable members, motion moved for the adjournment of the House to tomorrow 2 p.m. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion for adjournment.
Motion for adjournment moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honorable members, I understand why there was that shout. Because there is one important statement we should have taken for today. A celebration of a day which falls on the 14th of July. And the honorable member in question submitted a statement which I duly admitted. But because we do not take statements, I think we overlooked it. But it's important we take it because that's one of our very important partners. It's today. And so I an opportunity to the honourable member to make the statement, and therefore the motion for adjournment is hereby arrested. And the key has been handed over to the IGP.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to hear you for the record that the motion which was carried.
She was not carried. The motion was not carried. I'm very clear the motion was not carried. I put the question, I heard the voice vote, but I did not give the ruling. And so it was arrested by a voice that drew my attention to an oversight. That is why I say I can recognize you by your voices. And so those of you who sit down and interrupt proceedings by some other meetings and conversation, I identify all of you. But because they've taken judicial notice of your voice, so it's better for you not to talk again, because the 6 months honeymoon which I gave to the House is over now. I'll be making a statement on it, and then we'll apply the rules strictly according to how my colleague, the former Deputy Speaker, yes, Honorable Joe Gatti, used to do. I can identify him here. To apply the rules strictly. So please, let's take this statement, which is to commemorate the occasion of the French National Day, and I think it's an important day for us to celebrate. Yes, Honorable Samuel Nati George.
I thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Today, 14th of July 2021, France celebrates its National Day. Many think that it commemorates Bastille Day, the beginning of the French Revolution in 1789. But it actually commemorates the Federation of 1790 as dedicated by the Constitution of the Third Republic of France. It celebrates the national unity, the getting together of all different regions and cultures. Unity around values expressed in the motto, Liberté, Égalité, and Fraternité, freedom, equality, and fraternity. France and Ghana have a long history of friendship. France was among the first countries to recognize Ghana as an independent sovereign state in 1957 and to establish an embassy here in Accra. These respectful and fruitful relations have never faded. They are based on shared values of democracy, freedom, human rights, solidarity, and generosity. In the past month, through the pandemic, France has proven constant support to Ghana, discreetly yet efficiently providing PCR tests and vaccines through the COVAX facility. Ghana was one of the very first countries to benefit. Deeply involved in supporting the Sahelian armies in the war against terrorism, France is sharing with Ghana its knowledge, experience, training, and capacity building to support our military readiness to keep terrorism away from our homeland. Through investments and trade, the French government and French companies contribute to the development of a flourishing, inclusive, and sustainable economy here in Ghana. Ghana-France trade today stands in favor of Ghana and provides us with a surplus of $200 million US. Over $1 billion US worth of French investments are currently in Ghana, and another 30 to 60 million US each year are directly invested from France. In times when gatherings are painfully disabled by pandemic, that has killed over 110,000 French, France celebrates the precious value of togetherness, where the concept of federation is the cornerstone. In building a united country along the centuries, in building Europe for over 60 years, and in building a multilateral world where each country has a voice. As France celebrates her National Day, Right Honourable Speaker, I urge this Honourable House to express its commitment to support France's effort for a healthier, stronger and safer Ghana and a more peaceful and equal world. Long live the Republic of Ghana, long live the People's Republic of France, and long live Ghana-France friendship. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, this is a statement under Order 71. The order is very silent about comments, but we may allow contribution, and I can only take one from each side of the House. There being no contribution, yes, Honourable Ranking Member of Foreign Affairs.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement which has been very eloquently delivered by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram. A statement to commemorate the French National Day. Mr. Speaker, Ghana and France have long-standing bilateral relations that date back pre-independence. We have maintained that cordiality, Mr. Speaker, in many aspects of our lives, in trade, in education, in culture, tourism, politics. Mr. Speaker, it is virtually impossible to separate Ghana and France relations. We have forged partnerships, we have collaborated at the international stage, and France has been a very strong ally for our country. Mr. Speaker, we are a country that cannot ignore the influence of France. All around us, our neighbors share strong colonial ties with France. We are surrounded by French-speaking neighbors. And, Mr. Speaker, we have our own Anglophone heritage. That notwithstanding, we know that it is important to work on our interest in the French language. And that is why French remains one of the important second languages that are taught in our schools. Mr. Speaker, because of the very strong bond that we share with France, we are proud to assert our membership of La Francophonie, and we were very gladly admitted into that elite club, and it is testimony, Mr. Speaker, of how important we consider our relations with France. The point also has to be made, Mr. Speaker, that France has continued to show interest in the affairs of Africa, and that is very commendable, particularly in the area of fighting violent extremism and confronting the scourge of terrorism. Mr. Speaker, France has shown the way that it is important to be there for your allies. They always commit troops, they send resources, they help to re-equip our armed forces, and in confronting the terrorist threat posed by groups like Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda of the Maghreb and all of that, France has been a very, very strong ally. And I would like to use the opportunity of this statement, Mr. Speaker, to make an appeal to France because of the disruption to the democracy in Mali. They have decided to withdraw their troops from Mali, and they presented a timetable to also withdraw from the Sahel region. Many security analysts believe that that will spell doom, that if French troops and American troops leave the continent and leave the Sahel, we are in for trouble. Violent extremists will have a field day, and it will not augur well for us. So I'd like to use this auspicious occasion as we salute the French and as we serenade them to also appeal to President Macron and the French authorities to reconsider that decision. As we do that, we also must emphasize that Africans must take our destiny to their own hands. We cannot continue to solely rely on our European allies. Kwame Nkrumah talked about the standing army that we should build. Now we see the vision that he had and how important that was. If we had done that long ago, having a standby force, we will not be depending on French troops and American troops. And now that they are pulling out, we are feeling the heat. Mr. Speaker, I come back to the commemorative statement, and I commend the Honorable Sam George for leading us to observe this very important day. May Ghana-French bilateral relations continue to flourish and continue to be a blessing to the peoples of both nations. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, as we continue to celebrate the 14th of July each year, together with our friendly nations led by France, it's important for us to cement the relationship we have with France by going beyond the barrier of language. I want to call on Ghana and urge government, particularly His Excellency the President, who speaks both the English and the French language, to consider seriously making both languages compulsory. That will eliminate a serious barrier in ECOWAS, the language barrier. And it will not cost the nations much money. It's a matter of exchange of professionals. It's a matter of reopening some of our French colleges. And that will earn Ghana a lot more investment, income, and everything. We are losing a lot just because of the language barrier. And it's high time we eliminate this. I hope honorable members will support me in this. And let's try to convince not just our members, but our governments to move in that direction, because that's the right thing to do. I thank you so much, and I thank the maker of the statement. We will now listen to the leaders to repeat the motion for adjournment, because you are still not in my hands.
Mr. Speaker, when you exercise your discretion, you can't be challenged. Meanwhile, you talk about strict adherence to the rules. But, Mr. Speaker, this is your court. We oblige you. That notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, I humbly beg to move that sitting be adjourned till tomorrow at 2 p.m., Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Motion moved for adjournment.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
Moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. I put the question. Those in favor of adjournment say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow, Thursday, 15th of July, 2021, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The House is adjourned.